I'd like to welcome any of you new attendees to the OMG here at our Long Beach, California quarterly event, and I appreciate you attending our keynote lunch. The Corporate Memory Cafe. Today we're going to be serving up a big hot bowl of corporate knowledge, as well as our recipe for success. Hell's Kitchen. Anybody here watch Hell's Kitchen? Don't worry, I won't be using any foul language today. You know, we call that place Hell's Kitchen, and sometimes we don't even use the word kitchen. One of the greatest issues that every organization has is how to preserve as well as consume knowledge. If you were fortunate enough to attend the OMG Costa Rica 20th anniversary celebration this summer, you saw the first part of this series entitled Preserving the Corporate Memory. Those of you who have not, you can still view it on the No Magic or Magic Draw website or even on YouTube. In the Dilbert future, Scott Adams states that we are getting dumber and dumber every day because smart people keep thinking up more stuff and we have no time to learn it. Too much data is equivalent to an empty bowl, and we can't consume or eat what we can't fit on the table. The real situation is that we have tons of knowledge, but it isn't ready or maybe in a form that we can consume. In fact, we could be starving despite having a large or a vast amount of knowledge that we have sitting right in front of us. Imagine your mother's recipes. And not only were there her recipes, but your grandmother's recipes and other recipes passed down through the generations. As you can see here, here's a recipe of my chief architect, Daniel Brookshire. 1 cup class diagram, 2 tablespoons dependency, and so on. Do you believe that your company has the capacity and the process in place to pass along information about your business from generation to generation as people come and go from your organization? Many times, knowledge is there, but it can be high on calories and low on value. Like junk food, the knowledge gets stored in those fat repositories within your organization. Like most fat, though, it is difficult to get rid of. In case you were wondering, this is a Visio diagram of a COBOL accounting system with meat sauce. The question here is, what has a longer shelf life? Your data or Twinkies? Sure, they both sit on the shelf forever, but we both have the same amount of junk food value. Sometimes Twinkies have even more value though. Well, especially if you've seen the movie Zombieland. In this movie, Woody Harrelson is absolutely obsessed with Twinkies. He will do anything for another Twinkie. So how do we ensure that what is in our documentation and our design artifacts actually have long-term value? The answer is simple. We need to get away from documenting our systems in volumes and volumes that just end up sitting on the shelf and never used by anybody. We need to make that data become alive, and how you do that is by putting your data in models and accessing it every day. Preserving the corporate memory sounds like a good idea. Especially in times like now, we need to do more with less, and that means storing them in a way that fosters reuse. The real question is, how do we preserve value and keep the data from becoming stale? Or how do we consume the vitamins and avoid the sugars and fats? How then do we serve up this knowledge as well as be able to reheat that knowledge and make it so that it's tasty in the future? The primary issue is serving of that data. We need to control what goes into storage and how we serve it up. We need to ensure the data is always fresh and contributes to a good, healthy ingredient for your enterprise. We need to see added value, not just excess amounts of data. Mixing of the ingredients is very important. What tastes go together or enhance the flavor of other ingredients. This can actually be quite difficult at times. At times, we do need to do more. You can't just serve up the right mix of information unless it crosses domains and crosses also those domains in the right format. This is how the real world works, and this is how it really works if you're going to make your organization efficient. The tools and standards to serve up the corporate knowledge are here today. Here is an example from UPDM, the Unified Profile for DODAF and MODAF. This is an operational view of how performers in an enterprise architecture interact. This is the recipe. It says how the business will run. Think of it like a recipe at a high level of abstraction. It tells the chef what is most important to the dish. This is another view of that same recipe. However, in this case, we show the actual people and the hardware in our kitchen. This is how the chef actually does his job. His tools, staff, and how they communicate in the kitchen are shown here. This is a very high-level view also, though. Imagine deeper in the guts of the model are activities, description of data, and other information. It is not that complicated. We just show people, messages, resources, and systems. In our kitchen, we also want to know what is connected to what. It shows the complexity as well as the dependency. This slide shows off the powerful feature of matrices within our product line. This is not complicated, especially if you go step by step. We model just a part of the viewpoint at a single time. To do much more at a time, we then may confuse our cooks. You don't need to add all the ingredients at once. Just add a few ingredients at a time, and then you can learn your recipe, and you'll remember it. Data is different, though, depending upon the consumer. Look at specialty dishes from different countries. Each has different flavors, ingredients, and maybe the process in which it's made. The science of gastronomy does not stop at simple mechanics. We want to look at delivering food from all around the world because we are truly in a global economy that is interconnected these days. Here, for example, are the views of architecture for the United Kingdom and the United States. What is important is that they are all made from the same basic ingredients, and that's UPDM. In fact, if you are familiar with this domain, you will note that we just added a new flavor for DODAF 2. So what is in our cookbook library? Many things, like UML, as say our basic ingredients, UPDM, BPMN, which is Business Process Modeling Notation, or SysML, which is System Engineering Modeling Language, and many more modeling visualization standards that we promote and create here at the OMG. Capture, train, share, and repeat. We need a bit more than just one cookbook too. Sure, The Joy of Cooking is a great book, but it doesn't have every recipe or every technique. We need to better polish our recipes and techniques related to those recipes. Sort of like The Joy of Cooking being as much about the recipes as it is about technique. Just because you have a kitchen doesn't mean you know how to cook. There is the opinion that a clean kitchen is an unused kitchen. Or maybe you're better skilled at making reservations. As I said before, we need a bit more than just one cookbook. Here, I am not just talking about corporate memory, but how we create and manage the corporate memory. There are some processes out there, but there hasn't been a focus of this within the OMG. We should move toward this direction, though, and create a new standard relating to how to preserve corporate memory. The system engineering community has a couple of efforts that we see as promising coming out of INCOSE, but we need much more process, or all this effort that we have put in here with these OMG standards are worthless. Just because you have a recipe doesn't mean you know how to cook.